We see the world through stories, through films, books, headlines, photographs, memories, and myths. But every story has another layer, one that's often forgotten, overlooked, or deliberately left out. Welcome to Behind the Curtain. Let's take a closer look. Some stories don't hide in forgotten archives or unsolved case files. They hide in websites, phone calls, street corners, forgotten payphones, ordinary places that become extraordinary once someone tells you where to look. At first glance, today's story is about games. In reality, it's about why human beings are almost incapable of ignoring a mystery. Imagine opening a website in 1999. The page is crude by today's standards. Black background, grainy photographs, missing persons reports, police interviews, maps, newspaper clippings. Everything suggests you are reading the archive of a real criminal investigation. Three student filmmakers have disappeared in the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland. Their cameras have been recovered. They haven't. The more you click, the stranger it becomes. There are witness statements, historical records, photographs labeled as evidence. You begin searching elsewhere on the internet. Nothing contradicts the story. No one tells you it's fiction. You slowly reach an unsettling conclusion. This really happened. Except it didn't. The website belonged to the Blair Witch Project. Months before the film reached cinemas, its creators Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez made a remarkable decision. They didn't advertise the movie, they documented a disappearance. The website never behaved like marketing, it behaved like evidence. Visitors weren't treated as an audience, they were treated as investigators. Long before anyone bought a cinema ticket, thousands of people were already trying to solve a mystery that had never actually happened. The film became famous for its handheld cameras and found footage style, but perhaps its greatest innovation happened before the opening credits. It convinced people to step inside the story. Today, we call experiences like this alternate reality games or ARGs. They're difficult to define because they don't exist in one place. Part game, part story, part scavenger hunt. An ARG can unfold across websites, emails, telephone calls, social media, newspaper advertisements, real cities, even conversations with strangers. The story isn't confined to a screen, it leaks into everyday life. The real world becomes part of the narrative, and the players aren't simply watching events unfold, they're participating in them. That's what makes ARGs fundamentally different from ordinary fiction. A novel asks you to imagine another world, a film asks you to watch one. An ARG quietly asks a different question. What if this world is already the story? That single shift changes everything. Instead of asking what happens next, players begin asking where do I look next? The mystery no longer exists inside the story, it exists around you. Although the Blair Witch Project demonstrated the idea brilliantly, the term alternate reality game didn't appear until 2001. The occasion was the release of AI Artificial Intelligence, directed by Steven Spielberg. Hidden inside the film's promotional material was a strange production credit. It listed someone called a sentient machine therapist. There was only one problem: no such profession existed. Curious fans searched for the name online. Instead of finding a biography, they found a puzzle. That puzzle became the first clue in what would later be known as the Beast. At first, it seemed almost insignificant. A website, a coded message, a hidden telephone number, but solving one clue revealed another, and another, and another. Before long, participants were chasing leads across dozens of websites, receiving mysterious emails, listening to recorded phone messages, traveling to physical locations, meeting strangers who had solved different parts of the puzzle. No individual player could solve everything alone. The game had become too large, which was exactly the point. Something extraordinary happened. Without being asked, thousands of complete strangers began organizing themselves. Programmers decoded encrypted files, linguists translated obscure references, graphic designers enhanced blurred images. Writers documented discoveries. Others specialized in tracking timelines or solving ciphers. The community called itself the Cloudmakers. By the end of the game, nearly 3 million people had participated in some form. It looked less like a fan community and more like a distributed research laboratory. The remarkable thing wasn't that they solved the mystery, it was how quickly human beings built an entire society around solving it. What made the beast unforgettable wasn't the story itself, it was the feeling of discovering it. Game designers sometimes call this the aha moment, the instant when scattered pieces suddenly connect. A meaningless phone number becomes a clue, a throwaway sentence becomes a password, an ordinary website becomes the entrance to another world. That feeling is deeply rewarding, not because you've been given an answer, but because you've earned one. Every solved puzzle convinces the brain that there must be another hidden just beyond it. ARGs are carefully designed to create that sensation over and over again, not by making players feel clever, but by making curiosity irresistible. Once designers understood how powerful that experience could be, they began experimenting with entirely new ways of telling stories. In 2004, Microsoft launched an ARG to promote Halo 2. It was called I Love Bees. The title sounded unrelated to the game. That was intentional. The mystery began with a website that happened to have been hacked. Its pages contained fragments of corrupted text, coordinates, dates, phone numbers. Players gradually realized the coordinates pointed toward public payphones scattered across the United States and Canada. At precisely announced times, those payphones began to ring. Imagine driving 2 hours to an unfamiliar town because an online puzzle suggested a particular payphone would ring at exactly 3:17 in the afternoon. Hundreds of people did. Some waited in the rain, some skipped work, some traveled across state lines. At the appointed second, the phone rang. If you answered it, you heard a short recorded conversation that revealed another piece of the story. 30 seconds later, the call ended. No prize, no money, no trophy. Just another clue. Thousands of people willingly rearranged their lives for a phone call that existed only because someone had transformed it into part of a narrative. That's the remarkable power of an ARG. It changes the meaning of ordinary objects. A payphone stops being a payphone. It becomes a doorway. The same idea soon appeared elsewhere. When the television series Lost became one of the biggest shows in the world, its creators extended the mystery beyond television itself. Between 2006 and 2007, the Lost experience invited viewers to investigate fictional corporations, decode hidden messages, visit websites, and uncover information that never appeared in the episodes. For casual audience, Lost remained a television show. For dedicated players, it became something much larger. The boundaries between entertainment and everyday life became increasingly difficult to separate. Watching wasn't enough, you investigated. But perhaps the most important thing ARGs created wasn't stories, it was communities. The cloud makers had come together to solve the beast. Once the game ended, they didn't disappear. Many continued meeting online, collaborating, building friendships. Some later worked on completely different projects together. The game had ended, the social network it created hadn't. That may be the most underestimated achievement of alternate reality games. They don't simply reward intelligence, they reward cooperation. No single player possesses all the answers. Knowledge becomes collective. The mystery belongs to everyone. Psychologists have long argued that humans are natural pattern seekers. We are remarkably good at connecting fragments into meaningful wholes. ARGs take advantage of that instinct deliberately. They scatter information across dozens of locations, knowing the human mind will begin connecting the pieces almost automatically. Every discovery encourages another search. Every answer produces another question. Eventually, the player stops waiting for clues. They begin expecting them. And that's where the story becomes much bigger than games. That instinct to find hidden meaning is one of humanity's greatest strengths. It's how archaeologists reconstruct civilizations from broken pottery, how detectives connect evidence, how scientists recognize patterns in data. The ability to discover relationships between seemingly unrelated pieces of information has shaped almost every major advance in human history. But every cognitive ability has a cost. The same brain that finds real patterns can also find patterns that don't exist. That's why the history of ARGs takes an unexpected turn. The mechanics that made games like The Beast so compelling eventually appeared somewhere they had never been intended to. Not in entertainment, in conspiracy theories. The most striking example is QAnon. Although its creators never described it as a game, many researchers have noted that it borrowed the structure of one. Anonymous messages appeared online, cryptic clues, incomplete fragments, hidden references. Participants gathered in online communities comparing interpretations, proposing theories, and collaboratively attempting to solve an ever expanding mystery. The experience felt remarkably familiar to people who had previously participated in alternate reality games. There was always another clue, another puzzle, another revelation waiting just around the corner. The important difference wasn't the mechanics, it was the relationship to reality. An ARG begins with a design team. Every puzzle has an intended solution. Every clue exists because someone deliberately placed it there. There is a story, there are rules. Eventually, there is an ending. Conspiracy theories work differently. There is no author guiding players towards a conclusion. Instead, participants create the narrative themselves. Every coincidence becomes evidence, every contradiction becomes part of the mystery. Every unanswered question proves that something larger must be hidden. The puzzle never ends because there was never a finished puzzle to begin with. Psychologists sometimes refer to this tendency as apophenia, the human inclination to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated events. Everyone experiences it. We see shapes in clouds, faces in electrical sockets, lucky numbers, meaningful coincidences. Usually, these experiences are harmless. Sometimes they're beautiful. They remind us that the human brain is constantly searching for order in an unpredictable world. The difficulty begins when pattern recognition becomes untethered from evidence, when every random event must fit a larger story, when the conclusion comes first and the clues are collected afterwards. Ironically, the designers of early ARGs understood this better than anyone. One of the unwritten rules of the medium became known as TNAG. This is not a game. Players were encouraged to behave as though the fictional world were real, but behind the scenes, the designers always maintained careful boundaries. There was always someone who knew the answers. There was always an ending. The illusion was temporary. Reality remained intact. The best ARGs never tried to replace the real world, they simply invited players to see it differently for a little while. That's why alternate reality games remain such a fascinating form of storytelling. Unlike books or films, they don't ask us to suspend disbelief, they ask us to redirect our attention, to notice the ordinary, to wonder whether the ordinary might contain something extraordinary. A payphone becomes a message, a website becomes a mystery, a production credit becomes the beginning of an adventure. Nothing in the physical world changes, only a relationship to it, and that too for a short period of time. Perhaps that's why the greatest achievements of ARGs wasn't technological. Nothing in the physical world changes, only our relationship to it, and that too in constrained boundaries and timelines. Perhaps that's why the greatest achievement of ARGs wasn't technological, it was psychological. They demonstrated something remarkably simple about being human. We don't really enjoy stories, we enjoy discovering them. The satisfaction doesn't come from receiving answers, it comes from earning them, from noticing something everyone else walked past, from opening a door that appeared invisible only moments earlier. Curiosity itself becomes the reward. Today, many of the original ARGs have ended. The websites have disappeared. The phone numbers no longer work. The payphones have been removed. But the ideas they introduced are everywhere: escape rooms, interactive fiction, location based games, marketing campaigns, even online communities built around solving internet mysteries. they all borrow in one way or another from the same remarkable insight. People don't just want to consume stories, they want to participate in them. Alternate reality games are often remembered as an unusual corner of internet culture. Perhaps they were something much more significant, an experiment, one that revealed just how powerfully the human mind responds to mystery, collaboration, and hidden meaning. The internet didn't invent our desire to solve puzzles, it simply gave that desire an entire world to explore. The question has never been whether we'll keep searching for hidden doors. We always will. The more important question is who builds the door and where does it actually lead? Every story leaves something outside the frame. Sometimes it's a forgotten person, sometimes it's a missing chapter, and sometimes it's a part that changes how we understand everything else. If this story surprised you, imagine how many others are still waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, stay curious.